everyone, welcome back to my channel. And it's been such a long time since I've posted. I know it's been about a year, but so much has happened and I wanted to share with you guys some updates, but also some of the things that I've been learning in marriage and I have learned in the past in marriage. Hopefully, whether you are single looking for something, a long-term relationship, or starting a family, or been married for a while, whatever stage in life, I hope that this video can encourage you, inspire you, and just remind you that you are not alone, because marriage is definitely not easy. It takes a lot of work. So the first question I have is, what was the most unexpected thing about married life compared to being single? Yeah, so there were a lot of things that I did not expect going into married life. I think when you're single and young and in your 20s, I just had this romanticized view of marriage and idealistic person in my mind. Like, he needs to, check off like all these things. And when it gets to reality though, that's not the case, right? It's not like you'll find a perfect person. I feel like a lot of that ideology comes from like social media, circle of friends closest to you, watching K-drama, like with Disney channels that teach you about just the romantic part of relationships, but that doesn't happen, right? I think the most unexpected thing that I noticed about married life is that you get like down and dirty. Like, you go through some of the worst times of your life, you go through some of the lowest times of your life with your spouse. And I think the most unexpected thing actually was learning about myself. Like, man, like I didn't know I had a lot of insecurities, like fears, just a lot of imperfections, right? Like, you go into a relationship thinking sometimes like, oh, like I have so many things to like boast about, or I have so many things that I have that other person doesn't have, so I am at a like higher level than they are. Or like whether it's financially, or whether it's, I don't know, just like how you were brought up even, or it can be like the littlest things. But like, I noticed about myself like a lot of behaviors, a lot of responses, like the way that I respond to stress, the way that I respond to hardships and trials in life. Like, I didn't know about like those things about myself, right, until I got married, which shows a lot. You learn so much of who you are as a person in the context of marriage, in the context of another individual, and it can be a very beautiful and rewarding experience to go through. How did you know your spouse was the one? So I personally don't believe like there is just one person for you. Like, I think there are many different people that you can find yourself like seeing the future with, right? But for me, I knew my husband was someone that I can trust and see my future with that person, because I think the timing was great. First, the timing, I found different people that I found to be like compatible with in the past, but the timing was never great. So I was graduating grad school and I was in a season of my life where I was looking for someone that I can, settle, like find a long-term relationship with, like get married and build a family with. And so it was a great time for me to do that. So the timing was great. Number two, his quality, like what I was looking for in a guy, he matched the criteria. And the things that I was looking for in a guy were two things. One was, does he love the Lord with all his heart, mind, and soul? And there are a lot of people out there, including myself, like we say a lot of things that we'll do, and we say a lot of things that, like I love God, or like I know God, but do our actions actually like back up like what we say? And so I was looking for a guy who was more of a man of his word, right? Someone whose actions backed up his words, right? So the qualities I was looking for in a husband was someone who was gentle, someone who was not abrupt to like anger and make rash decisions, and who was slower to anger, and who was deeper in thinking and more considerate level. And my husband was all those things. He was super considerate, he's very understanding, and deep in thought when it comes to like making decisions, making big decisions, and he makes sure that he prioritizes us first, rather than like other people or himself. And I really, really appreciated that about him. And so I could see myself, you know, building a family with him. That's when I knew that he was the one. The third question is, what advice would you give to other newlyweds? There's a lot of advice that I would give, but in the end, like every relationship is very different. But, you know, I think one thing that every relationship could use and need at a lot of seasons of life is community. Like whether you are single or married, community is so important. I feel like when I was married in my stage of life, like I didn't know a lot of people my age who were recently married, and I had to really seek out like older couples who have gone through a longer time in their marriage to give me counseling, to give me wisdom and advice, because marriage is not easy, right? It takes so much work, and there are times when you will feel like alone, like you'll feel like, am I the one, like only one like feeling this way? Are there other people out there like going through the same thing that I'm going through? Or am I the only one that thinks this way? Like, you know, and so you have like a lot of these questions, and it's really helpful to have people who have lasting relationships and who have gone through marriage for quite a while to give you advice and to give you like guidance, right? Community is very important. And number two, my advice would be, it's so much easier said than done, right? Like to always communicate with your partner from your partner's understanding or perspective, right? Because we're always like saying things, and we're always trying to like argue based on like what we believe to be true or right, rather than the other person. But when it comes to marriage, like you want to work with the other person as a team, not just like solely like for yourself, right? And that's when things get very messy, and you can avoid a lot of stress and arguments just by trying to put on the lens of like the other person. So like you can be feeling like and thinking like one way, but your partner may be coming from a totally different like background and culture and thinks this way is the right way, right? So even though it's just one thing, like one minor thing, and it might seem like petty, it's actually not petty, because everyone adopts different views, right, about different things. And so it's a matter of working things together, right? So there has to be a level of compromise and a level of sacrifice on both sides to see like the middle ground. And that's the hard part, right? The hard part isn't like, you know, being different or like finding similarities and things like that. Like the hard part is when there are different things, like how do you come to the middle ground and see like eye to eye with the other person, right? And it is really letting go of your own ego, like letting go of your pride, letting go of like all the things that you were taught, your upbringing, and that can be like some of the hardest things, right? So sometimes that requires like therapy, like that's why community is so important in this case. Third advice would be carving out time to spend time getting to know each other. Like when you are dating and you're single before you're married, like you go on dates, right? You eat a lot of food together, you travel together, you have like so many great experiences together. But when you're married, like you live with the other person, so it's very easy to like overlook the fact that, oh, this person was someone that I used to date, like someone I used to get super giddy about, like super excited about. And so like have those moments even when you guys are living together, to go out and spend time with each other, because dating is so much fun, and it can revamp or revive your relationship when you're going through like the gutter. And also you are the closest person to your spouse, right? But even yet, there's so much to learn about your spouse, and there's so many things that your spouse is going through and changing and growing in, that it would be great to just, spend time and support them and make that space to give words of affirmation and show acts of service so your relationship becomes stronger. Number 4 is, how did you handle wedding planning stress and family dynamics? Man, there were a lot of drama for me and for my family and the whole wedding process. I think that's why it was very stressful, but I honestly loved my wedding. Like, our wedding was super, there weren't a lot of people, there weren't a ton of people, or it wasn't like super like extravagant, but we did have a budget, and we did manage to stay under the budget. But I think the most stressful part was just having to communicate with so many people like during the wedding, and your guests, like your guests' expectations and things like that. But one thing I would change if I were to go back, being good at mediating, like for both families, for your friends also, is something that was a growing experience for me. So this video is getting kind of long, but there will be a part 2 if you have enjoyed it. So if you did enjoy, please comment below, and always request for more videos from me. The last question I'll end this video with is, what's the biggest lesson you learned from your first year of marriage? One big lesson that I keep learning and relearning over and over again is gratitude. Like, just being grateful for where you're at, like being grateful for all circumstances. Like, life is so hard. Like, life will throw you some crazy curveballs like that you've never expected, but just being grateful for like what God has given you, what God has provided for you, and the people around you that He has surrounded you with is something to be immensely grateful for. And I am a Christian, and I do have a Christian background, and so I firmly believe that, you know, we don't have to trust ourselves. Like, we don't have to trust in our weak flesh, you know, in this world, because we don't know what tomorrow will bring. We don't know if we'll die or, you know, stay alive tomorrow, right? We don't know if we'll go bankrupt like the next day. Like, we don't know what the world has in store for us, but we know that we have a God who created you and me, and who has our lives in the palm of His hands. And so what a great, fantastic thing that is, to rely and trust in God. And that will save you a lot of heartache. That will save you a lot of just arguments and stress, right? Gratitude really leads to a way of living life, you know, with contentment to the fullest and with joy. So that is what I'm going to leave with you guys with. If you guys have any questions, and if you guys like this video, please comment them below. I would love to hear your guys' stories of marriage and how marriage life is going for you. There might be a part 2 of this video coming soon. Please like and subscribe, and see you guys later.